right. I am Bubba Bush, the coach at Brazos Valley Mixed Martial Arts and Fitness. We're here doing some totally non-trademark infringing interviews while we eat some spicy wings. Joe, want to introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are?
Joe Cirillo. I'm a recent transplant from California. Recently moved here about a year ago to College Station, and I've enjoyed my time here at the gym, and I look forward to continued training here. So,
Joe, let's go ahead and dig in. Eat
Yeah.
our first wing, just not too bad. Little
okay.
Frank's hot sauce wing, and then I'll ask you some questions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually that's the most delicious one of the day thus far. All right, while we eat though, you've been training jiu-jitsu for over 10 years?
About 10 years.
About 10 years?
Yeah.
How's it changed in that time? 'Cause it's
Oh
a
gosh,
different animal nowadays, I understand.
it is. You know, I started training back in 1993 under Pedro Calvajo when I saw the first UFC fight. I had already been in martial arts and kung fu, karate, did a lot of fighting before it was really popular now, but it has evolved into an animal. You know, back then it was a lot of chokes, a lot of similar techniques, but these days, if you're not training in the gym consistently, you're going to get left behind.
Left behind real fast.
Oh, real quick,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel that too. I feel like it's the rate of change has accelerated.
So many new techniques out there, and the guys are in the gym training. Of course, YouTube is popular. Everybody wants to follow YouTube techniques, and but the fundamentals you can't get away from.
Do you think that's more because of the sort of the availability of training? A new technique comes out and we all have it right away from the videos, or do you think it's more because of the competition scene growing and becoming so huge that there's a lot more of a meta, that change rock, paper, scissors that happens in the game?
I think it's a combination of both. What's available, and the guys are coming out with new techniques, and everybody wants to be a part of that. They want to learn the techniques, but it also has to do with competition. Competition level is so high now that they want every technique available to them to be able to be competitive.
Yeah, trying that. Let's dive into the next one.
Let's do it.
This one should still be just absolutely palatable.
Good.
Well, why did you originally start training? You've trained a lot of arts, but why did you start training?
I was in law enforcement. I just retired, 13 years already, I guess. Wow. It just happened. It seemed like yesterday.
It goes by fast.
I started martial arts as a young 15 and a half, and then got involved in law enforcement when I was 20 and a half, graduated. As you know, I'm from California. There was a lot of activity. Excuse me. This is a little spicy. So I had to be involved in a number of altercations. Of course, as we know, a lot of them went to the ground, and you had to be prepared to deal with it. Unfortunately, I was involved in a number of shootings that took place, and we had to be at our best. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was just a natural fit for law enforcement, and I know a number of law enforcement officers are out there training Jiu-Jitsu now, and that's great. I think it should be the standard for all law enforcement agencies across the nation.
Obviously, I hugely agree.
Yeah.
Big thing. I don't know why we don't do more of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told by law enforcement officers, if you don't know jiu-jitsu, then you're bringing, and you carry a gun, then you're bringing a gun for someone else to use in the fight. As long as it's not.
Yeah, look, jiu-jitsu is very practical. Whether you want to restrain somebody or have to take somebody to the ground, you just can't get around it. Especially with everybody has cell phones, video cameras, the allegations of police abuse.
Yeah, I don't want to be out there hitting people.
It's out there. Yeah, so you've got to be able to change with the times and be able to restrain somebody with all the tools available to you.
Well said.
And jiu-jitsu is that tool.
Well said. Well, you want to dive in the deep end here?
All right.
I like to say, Os, do hard things.
All right.
Persevere. It's going to be with the bomb.
Spicy? Okay.
It's just nasty. It just tastes bad. That's the main thing.
It's good in there.
So you used to be on a SWAT team.
I was.
How did that change your perspective on life, or affect your perspective on life, I guess?
I've been training, like I said, in martial arts since I was 15. I had a family background. My brother was a professional boxer. So I've always been involved in some form of training. Law enforcement, you got to go through the police academy. You learn some real basic self-defense moves, but nothing enough to prepare you for what's on the street. So in order to be proficient, you've got to train. SWAT team was no different. Now, specifically, being on the SWAT team, you had to have specific type of training, and you had to be very proficient with your weapons. A lot of times I was on the entry team. I had to be very proficient with my handgun going in the team. And a lot of times we knew that going through that door, there was potential someone was going to get hurt. So I had already been involved in a number of, unfortunately, some shootings, and lives were taken. And this is life. These are the issues that law enforcement face. You've got to prepare yourself. I had a buddy of mine, one of my sergeants was shot and killed. I was there and got my windshield blown out with a guy that shot and killed him, took his gun away from him, and it changed my life. SWAT team prepared you for whatever possibilities that you were facing. So my perspective on life didn't necessarily change with being on SWAT, but it changed me, just law enforcement in general changed my life, how I perceive people. And but you know, and they're in law enforcement, you can obviously be swayed and shaded by the type of work that you do. Not everybody's a bad person. So I used to tell guys all the time, hey, stop working graveyard because there's really good people working day shift.
I've heard that.
So you've got to change up. Later on in my career, I became the community relations guy. So I was out in public a lot speaking, and there are really good people out there. Not just the people, the negative people that you have to deal with. So there has to be that balance. But being on the SWAT team, you know, it certainly changed my life because I had to really be proficient with my weapons and how we tactically trained and how we tactically went about entering buildings and how we deal with life. Really.
But you feel like you're able to prevent yourself from becoming jaded?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. You know, well, look, let me tell you, by the grace of God, I'm alive because when that bullet went through my windshield, you know, it is by the grace of God I'm alive. That bullet went right through my head, right through the windshield, fragmented the bullet and glass fragmented my face and hand, and it was by the grace of God I'm alive. So God, my faith has a lot to do with that as well. So that's that balance of life that we need. Training. Hey, the Bible talks about training, you know, shadow boxing, you know, and training, being equipped.
Running the good race.
That's right. Running, yes, I've run the LA Marathon. I've trained. Yeah. I've been training all my life. You can't tell now, but I did train a lot.
Oh, I can't on the mats.
Yes. Well, I'm grateful. I'm 66 here in a couple months, and I'm just grateful to be on the mats and still moving. So, but you've got to train. You've got to train yourself, and not only in law enforcement, jiu-jitsu, but that balance of your faith plays a big role in my life. Yeah. So.
It's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you find so much value in it. I'm just hoping I'll still be on the mats at 66. That alone is incredibly impressive.
Well, thank you.
Just about. Let's go to the
Let's do
coup
it.
de grace.
Let's do it.
Cheers.
Ooh, you got that ice cream waiting for me?
Joe, you have 3 grandsons.
Well, I have more than 3. I have 3 here in College Station.
3 that I know about?
Yes.
And a couple more?
Yeah.
You're about to have another one coming in?
I have another one coming in August, but I have a couple others in California. In fact, one of them is training at my old academy there, and he's doing really good.
Yeah. How have they kind of changed your perspective on life?
Oh, grandchildren, you know.
Yeah.
So different than having my own kids. Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you'll find out someday.
Me.
They're just different, you know. I remember when my first grandson was born, you know, and man, people used to think he was my son because I spent so much time with him. I took him everywhere. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think he's flying in from Japan tonight. He just turned 21 a few months ago. He went on vacation for his 21st birthday, and yeah, he'll be flying back from Japan. He was here at College Station here a few weeks ago visiting me. They change your life, you know, and you get to hopefully correct a few things from some of the mistakes that I made when I was younger, and hopefully correct them on
well, I've seen you being a great grandfather here. Like what? Absolutely. I mean, what would you give as advice to maybe people who don't have someone like you in their life?
You know, I look at life differently now. Being involved in shootings, being in law enforcement, you can be really jaded in your view of people. But again, my faith has kept me on course. I have a family that keeps me on course. I did a lot of public speaking when I was young, and you know, people say, "Oh, my kids would say, oh, that's just my dad on TV. Yeah, that's just my dad." So, but the advice I would tell anyone is stay the course. You know, I'm not a religious guy, but I know in whom I believe, and that is what's kept me grounded. Find some hope. There's only hope in Christ, but find somebody that you can cling to that is on the right course. It will keep you accountable and keep you on the right course. My grandkids, I spend time with them. Where else will people know about Christ if they don't see it in us? So that's the perspective I have.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for the advice. Thanks for sharing.
Yes.
Thanks for
Yes.
putting me through that. You're doing great.
Well, look, you've got a great BVMMA. I did some research when I got here. Hey, where am I going to start training? Of course, there's some local schools here, but this was the one that fit me the best, fit my style of training, and I enjoy my time. And thank you for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.